Select Board Meeting, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22, and the Bellingham Code of Bylaws, the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, December 20th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center Arcan Meeting Room on the petition of National Grid for two things tonight. The first one, as it's listed, is plan number 300970044 to replace poles P2 and P4 with 40 feet. I'm not sure what that means. 40 feet /2 JO and install new P3 40 feet /2 JO pole on Lawrence Street. I'm hoping you can tell us what that actually means.
Mr. Murray is presenting on behalf of National Grid, I see.
No,
No, National
I was
Grid.
gonna say,
I
thought
he's
that
a
was
butter. I
already-
was just kidding.
No, I moved over here because I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
You don't use those microphones, do you?
well, they work for the TV,
Oh, okay.
TV land.
You guys comfortable without masks? You're pretty close together. You got a mask?
I'll put it.
I just want to make sure you feel safe.
Okay.
Do you want me to,
I'm vaccinated.
is it best if I read them both
I'm
and then
triple
we'll
vaccinated.
open it up for
Yeah,
conversation?
why
don't you read both?
Okay, and the second one is plan number 303783320 to relocate P13-60 approximately 15 feet northeast on Pulaski Boulevard. So maybe you can elaborate on what exactly that is that I just read.
Unfortunately, I'm not the designer. He's on vacation today,
Oh, good,
so
okay.
I'm not too knowledgeable with this process, but I know one was just installing a new pole to get some height clearance,
Okay,
just the way the spans are and just the sag.
okay.
You
So
know,
it's
get
to
these
tighten that
larger-
up, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
Get these larger trucks coming in under and taking out the lower wires.
Okay,
So basically that's what one was for.
okay.
And I guess there's a road widening job going on or reconstruction of the road on Pulaski.
Not, is this part of what that?
There's
No.
no reconstruction of
No,
Pulaski, yeah.
maybe-
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, unfortunately.
Is the other one for Center Street? Is that what that one's for?
No, one's for
Lawrence
Lawrence Street and one's for
Street, one's Pulaski.
Pulaski. Lawrence Street is off of Pulaski, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
It's up there behind Honeydew Lawrence.
Fine, we
Yeah.
do, okay. Yeah,
Honeydew, okay.
but I think John's probably concerned about.
Yeah, the Pulaski Boulevard pole, what it is the pole's right near the street now, and they came and drew a new circle, the pole's gonna be 15 or 20 feet north, it's not a big deal. But the guy wire that holds the pole, because you got wires attached across the street, correct, right now comes into my parking lot, say maybe 2 feet.
Okay.
Okay, when you put the new pole in, they put a circle where the guy wire is gonna be anchored, probably 8 or 9 feet back.
Okay.
I don't know what the reason for that is, it's gonna kill one of my parking spots.
Okay.
Okay, and I mean, if it was in the same location as the other one, it's not a problem. It juts into the parking lot a couple of feet. It's still, a small automobile can still park there.
Still get there,
But if you move that back,
You're losing a parking spot.
you're gonna lose a parking spot, And it's a danger too, when the kids ride by on the bicycles, it's,
Correct.
these guy wires, can be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, yes, they can.
Now, is there a stronger pole that you can put in that doesn't need a guy wire? Is that possible? A deeper pole, very little deeper.
100% it needs a guy wire.
It
It
does.
does. It might not need the length that we're offering right now. We might be able to shorten up the
It's
length.
just like one, it comes off the pole, comes like this and down. This was like that, that's all, it's just.
So can you take that feedback back to?
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Okay,
Well, I've already got the circles drawn and everything. But so what happens here?
well, I think what we're suggesting is we take it back to National Grid to
Yes, and I'll have,
comply with what you're
we'll
looking
meet you
for.
out there at the
So
site
don't lose a parking spot.
and try to figure something out together.
What's that? Very little figure. If you just put it like the other pole, it's not a problem whatsoever.
Okay.
It's probably something nobody ever thought about. Now, the other issue that I've been after you for quite a while, the next pole going north, which is in front of a house that I own, that pole going north is being held up by wires. The wires there holding up that pole. That pole is completely rotted out.
Okay.
They've known it, they've seen it. This has been going on for 3 or 4 years.
Really?
And oh, we're gonna change it, but I mean, it's like 3 or 4 years. It's like I had to have a service, but it took me 2 years to get a service into another building that I bought. 2 years to get electric.
That's too long,
service.
that.
Huh?
That's too long.
I don't know. We had a telephone pole down in Crooks Corner. You remember that deal? How many years in that thing? That pole right in the middle of the street. I mean, it takes.
Going back to
like an hour to move
2010
a
now, he's got some
Yes,
history
he's got-
here.
I mean, they're slow movers, aren't they?
But that's not right. We should be taking up Mr. Murray's parking spot, so you know that. Can we really vote on anything tonight without knowing that Mr. Murray's concerns can be taken care of? We can't, by next year, we can't.
No, I think we've got to
We
take
gotta
it
wait.
back and
Yeah, we gotta wait. We're not
bring
gonna
it back in
approve
front
it.
of us, Lori.
Yes.
Okay, just-
Yeah, no, we shouldn't. You shouldn't lose a parking spot.
Can I have your name?
Yes, Dana Larson, DANA LARSON.
Okay. Thanks for being in the hot seat.
I know, right?
Happens all the time.
All right, so we'll have to bring it up, bring it
Yeah,
back and get feedback from you guys to determine when we bring it back onto the agenda, I'm assuming, right, Lori?
Yes, I've
Okay.
never had this happen, so I'll email my contact at National Grid and ask where do we go.
You just want to make sure there's no work being done until, I don't want them to start digging holes.
Right.
Well, we
We
won't send
approve it.
the signed paperwork back, and I'll get in touch with the person at National.
Yeah, nothing can happen until we get it.
A work
Something
order or
back.
Yeah.
something else.
Okay.
continue.
We'll
to the
continue, yeah.
Next meeting.
But if I could, from a leverage standpoint, Mr. Murray's not gonna get satisfaction on that other pole, so can you stipulate that it has?
I would, yeah, I'm gonna need to have that poll number, the one that you're
It's
talking
it's
about.
right on your, it's.
No, the one that you're talking about that's rotted out in front of the house that you own,
Oh,
that's
There's a
being held
pole
up
number on
by,
it, John.
being
okay, I
held up
can,
by
I can
what?
call it and get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Might as well
you
tap on both
could,
at the same time.
make arrangements to meet with John down there.
Yeah, like I
Or
said,
someone from
unfortunately, I'm not the
National
original
Grid.
designer. I'll send them an email tomorrow morning.
Who
and have
is
them
the
recontact you.
original designer?
It's probably Mike Roberts.
Oh, okay,
He has Bellingham,
okay,
but Christmas time, everybody's on vacation.
yeah,
so-
I have his contact, so,
Yeah, we should have.
Yeah,
it.
Mike's
Yeah.
great, yeah.
okay. So we want to make a motion to continue this public hearing to January 24th.
So moved.
Second?
All right, first from Michael, second from Kelly. All those in favor,
Every
say
phone
aye.
gets its own hearing.
Is that satisfactory for you, Mr. Murray?
What's that?
Is this satisfactory for you?
Oh, yes,
Going
oh,
down?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
Perfect.
All right, so we are
Merry
good.
Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Same to you as
Same
well.
to you.
Mike Roberts is on vacation until the new year, so
Okay.
it won't be
That's fine.
right this week or next
We
week.
have until January 24th,
Okay,
so
excellent.
it'll be fine.
Mr. Murray, looks like you need to update your jacket.
What's that?
You need to update your jacket. You need to say 2024.
Yeah.
On that note, let's move on the agenda. Next up,
I just
thank
got
you,
this thrown
All right,
gentlemen.
thank you guys. Happy
All right,
holidays.
thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Oh,
Bill, would you like to come up? You're up.
thank you
next.
very much.
Thank you.
You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Well, I think I'm gonna watch for a couple of minutes.
You sure can.
John used to sit on this side of the table back in the day.
Really?
Planning board, you know,
Ah, gotcha.
many years. yeah.
All right, Bill is here for a special one-day liquor license request. You want to talk to us a little bit? Looks like you're having a New Year's Eve party. Do I have that
New
right?
Year's Eve from 1:30 to 3:30.
Sounds like my
Bedtime.
party. It's when the
Bedtime
citizens like to
5:30.
party.
That works for me.
That's when I like to party.
Yeah, right?
For
Then
us
I can
old
go to
people
bed.
who want to drive at night.
Yeah, in bed by 8. That's how I roll.
Yeah, it's gonna take place December 30th at the
Okay.
senior center.
Mhm.
And
1:30
it's
to
from, like I say, from 1:30 to 3:30.
Nice.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
First from Don, second from Kelly. Any other questions for Bill before we,
Yeah, what kind of alcohol are you serving?
this is beer and wine, no? Beer
I
and
just want to
wine?
know what
Beer and
what
wine,
you're
yeah.
serving.
In case you stop by.
Yes, I stopped by.
It looks like the woman's chip certification is from the German club.
She is, and she works at Pete's.
Oh, okay.
Oh, awesome.
That's how I got, really how I got. We go to Pete's quite a bit to eat anyway, so I thought of one of the waitresses down there, and she has just a license to serve food.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other girl that tends bar, I forget her name, but she went to look at hers and hers had expired.
Oh, she's.
Oh,
So then they give me this other girl and I called her up and she was more than willing to come and help us out.
Perfect.
Would you consider amending the motion to waive the fee? The $50 fee associated with.
Yeah, absolutely. I amend the motion to waive the $50 fee. for the seniors. The
First from
party?
Don, do I have a second? No, first from Michael, second from Don. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Thank
opposed.
you very much.
Have a great time. Maybe we'll even see you.
We plan on it.
All right.
We will
Sounds
down and
good.
have beer.
Yes.
I've always heard of a one-day liquor license, but I've never been involved in getting one or I've even been at an event that had one.
Okay,
So I knew it was there, but I just, I said, well, we'll try it and see what happens.
And he got his insurance and he got his tip certified.
everything's all, yes.
Bartender, so he did
Yeah,
exactly
it's
what
all here.
he
It's
did exactly
perfect.
what he was supposed to.
Thank
do.
you
Nice
very
work,
much.
Bill. Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
Bill,
much.
I'm gonna make it.
Do I have to have something?
I'm gonna make a copy of this and I'll get it to you guys tomorrow or
Okay,
Wednesday.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
We've got it at the senior center for right now. If something come up that I wanted to move that, is that a problem?
Move the event.
The location.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you have your insurance says that you're gonna be having that 40 Blackstone Street.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta keep it there.
Okay, all right.
Okay, stay
Thank you
healthy.
very much.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Bill.
Have a good evening.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Happy holidays, Bill.
You too.
Is Don on the call?
I don't think Don was,
Martino?
I thought he was coming on.
okay, I wasn't sure if he was or not. I think a lot of what he has, that's right, we went back and forth, is pretty self-explanatory, so we can start without him if you want.
Yeah, we could, why don't we just go to
So
Ma-
it's
on
on
Mary?
DCR Land or Mary? What do you want to do?
Okay, good. Yeah, I couldn't remember.
I thought
Last
he
he
was,
was.
I thought he was
attending
gonna come on to talk about that,
DCR swap.
or the Southeastern Regional Service.
Okay, yeah, he did a good job with it, but you're right, we could do Mary first, and if Don comes on.
Come on over, Mary.
I don't have a cell phone
Unless you
number
want
in
to
my
text
cell
him
phone.
or, sure, so-
Don?
Yeah.
He's got 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we're running.
We're headed to
Yes, that's probably wise.
I'm just gonna
That's
text him,
his-
see if he was coming.
that's
on.
his
Do
cell
mine?
phone number.
Okay. Oh, I'll text him from mine. Thank you.
All right, Mary, you're here for two things, senior tax work-off discussion / recommendation in the ARPA program update.
Yes, ma'am. Let's push this down. You don't need to see me that close. Lord have mercy. All right. Good evening, everybody. You should have some handouts. So the senior tax work-off handout, I just left on the table before you got into the meeting this evening. But I know that we have
Happy
had.
holidays.
Happy
Bye.
holidays.
Take care.
We've had an agenda item put forth for the last couple of meetings to talk about the senior work-off program and talk about some potential recommendations for changes to that program. And so you had received previously from the assessor's office some data that was collected by Cheryl regarding surrounding communities and what kind of program benefits they offer. So the town of Bellingham has adopted and implemented a senior tax property work-off program that provides an abatement benefit on a tax bill for folks who are age 60 or over, or who are veterans who are eligible for the program. And it's a very successful program. We have a lot of folks who participate in the program and provide some very valuable services here to the community. But one of the things that we noticed is that the hourly rate that has been set and established and in effect for a number of years has been $10 an hour. So the way the program works is that folks would be assigned to a location, provide services to the community at the rate of $10 an hour. And based on the number of hours that they work during the program year, up to the limit of 100 hours, that property owner would receive an abatement or reduction on their tax bill that goes out in the third and fourth quarter. So what we are proposing, and I've given you some data and you may have some questions regarding what the town has done for the last couple of years, but we have looked at the hourly rates that we have been using to calculate the benefit for that program. And we have been at $10 an hour since 2018, so for the last several years. As we know, the state's minimum wage is much higher than that. Currently, it's at $13.50 an hour, and it is set to be raised to $14.25 effective January 1st. So our proposal, our recommendation for this board is to adopt an increase in the hourly rate to be aligned or reflect the state's current minimum wage that will be going into effect on January 1st. The way the program works is that you cannot pay less than the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25, and you cannot pay more than the state's minimum wage of $14.25. So we are recommending that we align that with the, as I said, the state's minimum wage. We're also recommending that we retain the maximum limit of 100 hours per participant. What that results in is a fairly significant increase in the benefit to our property owners through this program. Previously or currently, the program is capped at $1,000 limit for benefit for those who do work the full 100 hours. This would raise the value of the benefit from $1,000 to $1,425 for those folks who did in fact work the full 100 hours. But what you'll see in the chart that I've given to you is that on average, while we do have many people who do work the full allotted hours, on average, the benefit that we are seeing across the entire pool of participants comes out to a much lesser amount. And you can see that right there in the chart. So if we were to increase that hourly rate for the calculation of the benefit, the other thing that we're asking for is for this board to set a maximum on the total program dollars that we are appropriating for this program. For a couple of reasons. Number one, we need to be able to budget properly, and we can't budget properly if there is uncertainty over the cost of this program, and so we need to set an upper limit. The other thing to think about is that we also have to manage this program, and so it becomes very difficult if we're talking about managing 300 people. We need to have a manageable workforce that we're able to put in the right places into the right positions and be able to manage that. So I'm recommending that we set an upper limit for the maximum appropriation of $135,000 and that we would manage the number of participants based on the hours that they're working in the program.
Do you have any questions for Mary?
Great.
Go ahead, Don.
The limit previously was 125, right? So we're increasing the limit from 125 to 135.
Correct.
So it's not really material, but it's still an increase.
Correct.
Odd scenario, but it is conceivable that we have people in town that own multiple parcels. So if myself and my wife were to own 3 parcels and we both wanted to participate, our maximum would be
So
3,000.
the way the program works is it is based on an assessed owner for a parcel.
So if you own it as joint tenancy though.
So any one of the owners is allowed to work and participate in the program up to the max per participant. We do have parcels, we have about a half a dozen, 6 to 7 parcels in town where we have both a husband and a wife or siblings who co-own the property. As long as they are listed as the assessed owner on the deed and in our property records, both of those participants can participate in the program. However, they are not allowed to each work the 100 hours and get the full benefit, because on top of the limitations that we set here at the local level, there is a state limit of $1,500 per property. So we have situations where we have a husband who works 50% of the hours and a wife who works the other 50% to get the full benefit of the $1,500 abatement. So it's per assessed owner per property.
So just reading your second line item where it says I move that the maximum number of hours be limited to 100 hours per participant. Would it be?
So I covered myself. I get where you're going.
Yep.
I can envision it. So, but if you read the last line, and that all other program details are to remain in accordance with Mass General Law. So they would be subject to the limitations for the parcel, because the way that the Mass General Law statute operates, it clearly articulates that.
Okay. Because where I was going to say is I move that the maximum benefit be limited to 100 hours per participant or parcel owned.
But we can't stipulate the 100 hours on the per parcel because the state limitation kicks in. So technically what could happen is the maximum benefit that's allowed by the state is $1,500 per parcel. So if a wife worked 100 hours and the husband worked 5 hours, they would get the full 1,500.
But if they own 2 properties, they could both work 1,500.
They could work 100 hours on each, yeah.
Would we like to read the motion?
I move that the board increase the hourly rate to $14.25 per hour effective immediately for the property tax work-off abatement program. And further, I move that the maximum number of hours be limited to 100 hours per participant, and that the maximum total appropriation for the program be limited to $135,000, and that all other program details are to remain in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5K and 5N.
Second. First from Mr. Martinez, second from Mr. Connor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none.
Thank you very much.
Mary? All right, now ARPA program updates.
ARPA program, do you all have a sheet in your packet, probably online, that looks like this?
Yeah.
It would have been added to your agenda last week sometime.
ARPA program update, look at that, okay. Thank you.
Perhaps it should hopefully look
I
like
would know,
this.
yes. Sorry.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so we've had some very positive activity with our ARPA program. So just by way of background, we came before you a couple of months ago, the board, and asked the Board of Selectmen to formally accept the federal stimulus grant package called ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. And we have to ask the board to accept all grants and gifts that come before the town in order for us to spend those monies. So you guys have taken care of step one, which is to accept it. Now tonight we're here before you because we need to ask you to take step two, which is to review and approve the projects from which ARPA funds will be used to fund those projects. And we will be doing this on an ongoing basis. So what I'd like to do is just take a step back and explain to you what has transpired since we last spoke about ARPA. Just for reinforcement or further edification, the town has been allocated or awarded $1.8 million as a direct allocation from the federal government directly to the town of Bellingham. We've also been awarded $3.3 million from the federal government to Norfolk County, and Norfolk County is administering that program on behalf of the town of Bellingham. So that's a total of over $5 million in ARPA funding that is coming to the town of Bellingham. And ARPA funding, unlike the initial CARES funding, is intended to be used for more of a proactive purpose. Back when COVID hit and the town had received some funding for CARES, it was very reactive. It was like a fire hose had gone off, and a lot of departments and boards and committees were trying to figure out, how do we keep our folks safe? How do we keep our employees, our staff, the public safe? And what do we need to purchase and secure? We've gotten through that initial part of the pandemic, and now the federal government has awarded communities monies that are intended to be more proactive and transformative, and that's their intent behind these monies. Because they are federal monies, they are subject to much more stringent review and audit requirements. And so what we have to do is we have to put together a very strong framework of reporting and approval processing in order for us to make sure that these projects will be approved and that the funding will be available to use for these requests. So what we have done is we have formed a steering committee here in the town of Bellingham. We call it affectionately our ARPA steering committee. And the members on the committee include myself, our town administrator, Dennis Freen, our chairman of the board, Cindy McNulty, DPW Director Don DiMartino, our Council on Aging Director Josie Dutil, and our Library Director Bernadette Rivard. And the process is being managed and administered by our grants coordinator, Katrina Carosa. So what we did is we put together the framework of the steering committee. We held our kickoff meeting a couple of weeks ago. And as part of the process, there is an application that departments, boards, and committees will fill out requesting the use of ARPA funding for certain projects that they are seeking to pursue. All of that paperwork then goes directly to our grants coordinator, Katrina, who sort of runs first triage on the paperwork, making sure we have proper signatures and all of the documentation. And she then coordinates the steering committee in order for us to get together to review all of those projects. We have done that, and this list in front of you is the list of projects that has been reviewed and vetted and approved by the steering committee. And once we have gotten their approval, we are then required to bring it before the board, because the board, as part of this program, needs to have final say on whether we can, whether we should move forward with ARPA funding. So you have 7 projects, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 projects in front of you in the first set. That were projects that were requested by various boards, committees, or departments that have been approved by the steering committee, and we are asking for your approval to pursue those projects and request ARPA funding to cover the costs. There were 2 projects that were also presented to the steering committee, which are listed below that, and the steering committee has chosen to delay those projects at this time for the reasons that were listed. One is that we need to do further review on the UST removal, and the other is that we need some more project info on the Stallbrook Sewer project before we consider it. So tonight I'm asking for you to review, approve the first set of projects in the total amount of $250,725.
Anybody have any questions for Mary on that amount, or what?
So I guess the only questions I have, and I think this is great, thank you. We're allocating out, just as an example for COA. I know we need to do the kitchen. I'm not saying no. Is that 20,000 is just a budget, a line item? It could have come in more, could it be less? Or are we saying that's the max spend?
Right now, that's the amount that's being requested of the county. So it's $20,000 for design and engineering. We think that's sufficient to get this going.
So do we have any other, do we know that's about what it costs?
Oh, yeah.
Done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
And that project,
yes.
obviously.
That's what I'm just asking.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened is the departments fill out an application request, much like they fill out our capital requests each year. And there's certain components that they need to include, which would be cost estimates, quotes, and other details.
And Mr. Martinez should be pleased to see the second item on that list.
I am very pleased to see that.
He's talking about the quality of our.
The art can't be
I am
yes.
very pleased to see that.
Yes.
Upgraded to production.
No, I have no further questions.
Motion to approve the 9 items totaling $250,725 as approved by the ARPA committee on 12/2.
Second.
First by Mr. Connor, second by Mr. Martinez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
Great job to the committee. Thank you.
What is the UST project?
Underground storage tank. So it's a tank that we haven't used for quite a while at the DPW. We've got to pull it.
So what would be some of the other examples of what the 3.3 million could be used for?
We're looking at all sorts of projects from different departments. So it's quite a broad range. We have to have the money committed by 2024 and spent by 2026. So it's not a race to spend it. But a lot of these things are things that we need to get done. We want to get done. South Main Street standpipe, it's helping to take the ease off the budget. So we're not having to rely on borrowing or
So would
capital.
Primavera School be one of them?
Could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
So the beauty of this, and Bellingham is in a very, very fortunate position. There are restrictions on how we can utilize this money. And there's different categories, about 6 or 7 different categories that the federal government has set forth. But there is one broad sweeping category called revenue replacement. And if you qualify for revenue replacement, then you can use your ARPA funding for any general municipal purpose. So anything that we would have normally funded through a budget or through a borrowing, we
So the
could use.
DPW build out of the offices?
So potentially, if it makes sense, but.
How about like the parks and recreation? Like we wanted to improve our parks. I look at the town common, it's beautiful, but it really could use an overhaul. It needs new gym equipment and things.
So here, so what I was saying was there's different categories,
Okay.
and then there's this one category called revenue replacement. That revenue replacement is based on a very sophisticated and complex calculation that every community has to go through. And essentially what the federal government is trying to do is force every community to project how much of an impact on their revenue stream did COVID have. And up to that extent, you can use ARPA funding for general municipal purposes based on the results of that calculation. Now that calculation also gets done for the next 3 years. So this is year one of the program, and you calculate the impact or adverse impact that COVID has had on your revenues this year, and to that extent you can use ARPA funding. And then next year you calculate it again. There's a baseline that has been set that's pre-COVID, and it's a sort of a complex calculation. So communities have sort of 3 shots at calculating the negative impact and whether they can use ARPA funding for this broad category. If you don't qualify, then you can only use your ARPA funding for the strict categories that they have promulgated. Here in Bellingham, we hired a consultant to do that calculation, and we have gotten incredibly successful results in that all of our ARPA funding right now can potentially be used for that revenue replacement category. So we have submitted that to Norfolk County for their review and confirmation. So it's gone through one set of auditors. It needs to go through a second set of auditors to confirm that we do in fact qualify to use all of the funding for that category. If that's the case, then virtually any of these projects can be put on the table. So until I get that confirmation, I don't want to say that that's going to be the case.
How far away are you from getting the confirmation? What's the process?
So the process is ongoing. Katrina submitted a second set of documentation today, and I expect that we'll hear fairly quickly.
Do they look at projects that we may have even had to table because of COVID? Is that part of the
That's up to-
calculus? Is that to you?
That's an internal.
That's up to
Internal
us.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I will say that Norfolk County, we're obviously subject to the Norfolk County Commissioners and the process there. They've hired a consultant, and they have one item on their agenda as far as opera goes. And as a result of the board's vote tonight, they'll be approving our request on Wednesday. And it's the very first in the entire county to have, we're the very first community in the entire county to have projects before them and approved. So
Like to
great
hear
job.
that. That's a great
Yeah,
metric.
and also by
It's-
Katrina.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Katrina.
Is she on here?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
for great
A
work.
big part of that
Yeah.
was the whole setup of the portal and a lot of legwork that had to go through, that Katrina had to go through to get the
Right.
process up and running. So she did a great job.
So I'll send you the link if you're bored on Wednesday at noon time. The commissioners hold their meeting and we're on their agenda, and we're the only community and the first community. So, and I'll.
That's great.
So,
I don't know if I'll be bored.
yeah, I'll send you the
You
link.
can send us the link in.
I will be live just
Yeah,
for the
That's
formality.
great. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Absolutely. So the
Wonderful.
steering committee is scheduled to meet again in January. We'll meet once a month, and we'll come before you with our next set of
A
requests.
lot that could be done. That's really fantastic.
Potentially. I wish
Yeah.
there was another zero at the end
Well,
of
that'd
that
be nice, yeah.
allocation.
Yeah,
Like
right.
35 million, right?
Right, no kidding. All right, thank you, Mary and
Thank you
Katrina.
so much.
All right, Don, I see you have joined us. Mr. DiMartino,
Oh,
good evening. So we have you on the agenda for 4 things, or is there any particular order you'd like to address these, or you want to just go through the agenda as it stands?
now you can go as it stands, which, where is the agenda? It's here somewhere on my screen.
First up is Southeastern Regional Service Group membership.
Yeah, we are looking to join this group. It's, I think it's somewhere around 22, where we may make it 23 cities and towns from Bellingham, the farthest west, to Quincy. And it's just, it's a cooperative system. We'll use that for not only the stuff that, many things that we use combis for now, but we will also use it for our construction annual bid, taking a significant burden off of my successor, whoever that may be, because the annual bid for road work is absolutely a bear with us managing it. So it's $4,100 a year. We will, at $4,100 a year, we'll be full members, so we'll actually have a vote at the table for things that come up. And I'm estimating it's gonna save us probably over $50,000 in the first year on water chemicals alone, and that's a very low estimate. It may save us much more than that.
All right, so do we need to take a motion on this, Hillary, or?
Yes.
Yes.
I read through the documents. I think this is a great idea that would, like Don said, certainly alleviate a lot of pressure. But it's a great idea to be a part of.
So is that a motion from you, Kelly?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the DPWs joining the Southeast Regional Services Group in the amount of $4,100 annually.
Session.
First from Kelly, second from Michael. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
Great.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, Don, DCR Land Swap.
The next, excuse me, the next two items are related to the land swap. Back in 2014, we agreed to work with DCR. We put the water pipe, our water pipe in their trail. It's now the SNET trail from Lake Street to Center Street. Center Street. They allowed us to do it without finishing this whole process, thank goodness, because the whole process has now taken how many years? I thought I'd be retired before they finish it at the rate they were going. This is not our fault, but this is where we donated land. You have to do a direct volume land swap. You can't just pay them, or like we put the pipe in, which and fix the trail. You actually have to have at least a 1-to-1 swap on the actual land when it's DCR land. So we have given them land beside the DePietro School for a parking lot for the SNET trail. That was done, I do believe, in 2016. Finally, the DCR and their attorneys have got the ducks in a row as far as what they need to record, what they need to get through the legislature, which I believe they've already done. So this is the final stage to put this to rest. And it's a land swap that benefited the town, saving us probably about 4 miles of road we would have had to dig up. And where we could go the most direct route was to use the SNET trail for our water pipe. And it will be a great parking facility in the future. So everybody will be able to use the SNET trail, park down by DePietro School and walk that entire trail eventually for miles beyond Bellingham to the west. But at this point, we'll be able to go from South Main Street all the way to the Franklin line. So very soon. They're planning on starting, they're pushing this now to get it done because they want to start construction in January, which is exciting.
Wow.
And it's two documents. One is the swap itself, and the other is a memorandum of understanding that will allow them to utilize the end of the access road to DePietro School, and not they utilize, but the way the parking has been designed is that they'll come in off of Harpen Street and exit down the DePietro School. And it's not, as you see, there's people, 5, 6, 7 cars. It's not a huge parking area, so that's a minimal impact. I've been in touch with Peter Marino from the beginning, and so it's sort of just wrapping up something that's taken close to forever to clean up. But it's a win-win and a wonderful thing to be a part of.
All right, so I'm assuming that by signing what we just did, Hillary, is what satisfies the.
So I think we need to do 2 separate motions, one for the land swap and then one for the memorandum of understanding.
That would be best.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the land swap first.
So moved. Is there a motion? I don't.
Yeah, I don't see an actual.
I don't see an
I
actual
just
motion.
make a motion to
To sign
accept
paperwork.
for the DCR land swap.
Yeah.
Okay, so first
Don,
by
can I have
Kelly,
first,
second by Don. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. And second one,
So I make a motion to sign the DCR memorandum of understanding.
first by Mrs. Grant,
Second.
second by Mr. Martinez. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none.
Don or Dennis, why was it necessary to change where the parking lot was? Because originally it was going to be at the curb instead of into the school driveway.
No, I think it's pretty much been the same location for at least a couple of years anyway, Don, hasn't it? It hasn't moved recently.
I think that they added that. One of the things that they've pushed for this trail, and I don't know if they do it everywhere for their trails, is to have equestrian access. And in the parking area, there's a place to for people to bring in a horse trailer, park, and obviously, to make a U-turn in a parking lot would be complicated. So I think that was their major motivation to having the one way in, one way out. It was always there. The addition of this outfall, this exit, I think, came from the realization that, how much bigger they'd have to make it, how much more impact they would have had to have on the forest that's there and some adjacent wetlands if they tried to make it big enough so that you could turn a horse trailer around inside the parking area.
What will be the composition of the trail itself? Because an environmentalist told me that it would not be paved because you can't go across a paved road with guns.
It's
Hunters.
there's a name for the stuff. If you walk down the trail and it's not paved, but it is an impervious surface, but it's not paved. It is a equestrian friendly, but hard surface, and I forget the name of it. It's a special product. That's what they had us put in from most of the way.
Yeah, but here's my problem with it. From Center Street to Franklin, it's paved. Why does this area not get paved?
From Senator Franklin, it's not paved. It's gonna be the same composition. So it'll be the same material, yeah. As from Senator Lake, it'll be the same. Just what you're looking at is when you drive by, the first 30 feet are paved, so it doesn't wash out, and the rest of it's all
It's like a hard.
like a stone dust.
I've walked it, but it starts as paved.
It's like stone dust with glue in it. It's the best way to describe it, because it is.
Only like the first 30 feet or so.
Yeah, it's not just stone dust that you can put your hand in, or even with a small spade, you could probably break it up with a pick. But it's a fairly hard surface. But yeah, and I forget, there is a special name for it, but that's what DCR is pushing for wherever they can get it.
Is the whole trail considered equestrian friendly, or just this?
That's what they were shooting for. That's why the bridge at South Main Street is so tall. So tall enough to have horses right under, horses and riders right under.
I've never seen a horse on
I haven't been through the one in Franklin yet. They rebuilt that one. I would imagine they'd be that tall too.
Thank you, Don.
All right, I think the last thing Don is looking for is a motion for the bid award.
Yep, so pretty simple bid award to low bidder for rehabilitation or recoating of our standpipe.
All right, I move that contract 2021 SMSP South Main Street standpipe recoating be awarded to the low bidder Amstar of Western New York, Inc. of Cheektowaga, New York.
We have to note the amount,
The
$758,000.
amount, there is the amount, in the amount of $758,000.
First from Mr. Martinez, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mrs. Grant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. All right, thank you, Don.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good
All
night.
right, happy holidays, Don.
All right, great.
Happy and healthy holidays, everyone.
Thank
Same
you.
to
You
you,
too,
Don. Gifts, grants, and acceptances. We're so technologically savvy here. Not showing the trees.
I move that the Board of Selectmen, well, I guess we should rephrase that, but that's how it's written.
Yeah.
Accept the gifts and grants as listed herein with said expenditures to be under the direction of the parties noted. $5,500 from an anonymous donor. The purpose items equipment for firefighter safety, spending authority, fire chief.
First from Mr. Martinez, second from Mr. Connor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none.
Just, it seems odd that you would have 5,500 from an anonymous donor, so obviously the fire department knows or has given someone a specific dollar amount to pay for something.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know who the anonymous donor is either. So.
Rebel rouser today. Is that it for gifts? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
No, minutes. November 20.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 22nd as presented.
First from Mrs. Grant, second.
Trying to drag this out.
All those in favor, say aye. What is
Aye.
happening? Do we have a low blood sugar moment here?
I'm tired, man.
We need some
really-
candies or something.
I'm beat.
All right, annual license renewals. Is there language?
It should be right on.
I move to approve the license renewals as listed on the attached sheet pending completion of building and or fire inspections, and all outstanding applicable charges have been paid pursuant to any agreement with the treasurer collector.
First from Mrs. Grant, do I have a second? Second from Mrs. McNulty. All those in favor, say aye.
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 I have questions on.
Yeah.
Oh,
me too.
okay.
I don't want to just go
Speak
through
now
them.
or-
Hillary has to get me back in because I did something to screw it up.
I just want to look at them all. We don't have any issues with anybody.
Hillary has been working
Hillary.
very
I
hard.
know,
on
I
all
know you
these.
do. I'm not, that's not what I'm
We have,
challenging.
I'm gonna take you up.
no issues that that are not being handled. Does that answer your question?
No, it doesn't. No, I want to know, we have problems with anyone here that we're
I don't know.
approving tonight?
No, so there's just a few things that are pending, and that's why we made that motion, and I will
Is
not.
this secretive?
No, it's not secretive. I
Okay.
just, there's a couple inspections that have, that need to be done. There's some tax issue that's being worked out with the treasurer collector.
Okay,
And
I saw it. in a
we,
room that
yeah,
we're
we
in.
will have, and we'll hold any licenses until all that, all those things have been completed.
So the way the motion is reading is just to save us time from reading every single one of these.
Yes, so I talked with
Like we
Dennis
talked
about
about
it,
it, yeah.
yeah.
I miss those days when Jerry made.
Just read them all.
I
Yeah,
just
there's really
found,
no need for it.
yeah.
No, I know, I'm not
And I
just-
suggesting we should, I'm
Couple
just, it's change.
Connect Ed and Inspired, I thought was a daycare. Why do they need a common vic?
No, they're not a
Because they're not a
daycare.
daycare.
What are they?
They're the one that, they're across from the Memorial School. They
Yeah.
do all kinds of different events, and they have an
Yeah,
ice cream
too.
shop.
Yeah,
They do
On
ice
the-
cream, they have classes for kids, teens and adults that run during the day and at night. They do art classes. The woman who used to own Artwork Studio is now at Connected and Inspired, so she's doing all the pottery there, so it's really a
Okay.
But
multifaceted.
the common vic license is for the ice cream
The ice
shop.
cream.
Under bulk storage permit is our recent fire
They're
detail
not-
there, because it's all address based.
They're not licensed. Because that was part of a, yeah, yeah.
Any further questions?
There was one more, maybe.
We got all night. Take your time.
I did.
That was the Jeopardy song.
Yeah.
feature. So no more questions? All right, we have a first from Mrs. Grant. Do I have a second?
I thought you made the second.
Second. From Mr. Martinez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. All right, old business. What do you got? Anybody?
I have something, well, actually, I'll wait till new business, it's about what Mary gave us earlier, I have questions, so.
Okay.
I have
Anything-
something under new business. We have
Anything
a,
under old business before we move on? No? All right, new
No.
business.
I'll go first. We have a meeting scheduled for January 3rd, and there, we have nothing on the agenda. So I was looking to see if we wanted to cancel it. I have several stuff scheduled for January 24th.
So moved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So new business. So, sitting up here signing all the licenses earlier, going through them. And Mary was really kind enough to bring up a list, this Excel spreadsheet here of all the permits and just going through them. And I just have some questions. I know we have probably to follow up with different departments, but I'm not picking on nail salons. But it stood out to me that I know there are several nail salons in this town. And there's like, and I don't know what the license is for a nail salon, if it's to $5, $2, I don't know, but it says $100. So to me, that was a little bit odd, knowing that there are several nail salons in the town. So I'm curious as to why that fee's not higher. So what I'd like to do is and again, I heard it was Board of Health. So if it's Board of Health, I think we should be talking to our Board of Health department and asking them as we go through this, because if there's, to me, if we're going to charge one, then all of them want to be charged, or we don't charge any of the nail salons. It should be, if one person's paying the fee, and there are 20 others that aren't, we should make sure the other 20 are.
Should we maybe bring the Board of Health in? for our next
I just
meeting
look at
already?
tattoo licenses, I just want to understand it.
Or I could follow up with them and.
Just follow up.
And let you know next meeting.
I just think we need to go through it, the list.
Mary?
What, we can ask the Board of Health what their fee schedule looks like.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's several others on here, Don, that would fall into that same.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking, because it just seems weird. We're on top of all these other ones, but it just, that stuck out to me, and there's other ones that,
Where is that one?
I know some nail
Except for the
salons have
page over.
closed too, Dawn, so
It's the fourth
that
one
would
down.
account for some of the,
I mean, you can't go in a corner in Bellingham without seeing a nail salon. So seriously, they're everywhere. So that's why I just asked. They're in Walmart. They're, they're over there by T-Mobile. They're, they're everywhere. So I have nothing against them. My wife frequents them. But if there's only one nail salon in the town paying,
Good question.
I just want to know, that's all. I'm
Yeah,
not picking on
we
nail
can, I
salons,
can get a fee schedule from them and email it out.
Porta potty fees, we got $10.
It looks like it.
It's scary, the number of porta potties that are even at the high school. It is noteworthy to say that our pistol permits have gone from $5,800 to $11,475.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Pistol permits.
Oh.
All right, so, action item is what?
I will obtain a Board of Health fee schedule and email it, or I can have it for the next meeting, whatever.
Okay, we can take a look at it and decide what we need to.
well, the pistol ones too would have gone up as well because they weren't doing them for most of 2020.
That's,
So there was going to be
That's
a
one way to
huge
look at it.
uptick in 2021.
Michael, you mentioned you want to go back to something?
Used car licenses, Maple Street Auto Sales, 146 Maple. Where is that on Maple Street?
That would, pretty certain that is the one across from where Mont Watkins used to be. We remember they'd come before us, they wanted to put a U-Haul there, and we said
Yeah.
no.
Right. But I don't even see any businesses there now. So is
There's,
this,
there's cars there.
Yeah.
There
I think it's more in the
there's a
back,
handful
isn't
of
it?
cars. What's
It's
that?
more in the back, isn't it?
Well, they have a garage in the back, and they have a couple of, they rotate. I mean, I've actually seen, people out there showing and selling cars. It's not a big one.
Curious. Public swimming pools?
We figured the Charles.
Yeah,
What were you
Charles.
thinking? At first I was thinking, does the
Mary, you
hotel
opened a
have one?
can of
Yes.
worms for this.
This will be our biggest agenda item.
It wasn't even planned.
But I'm just curious. It's just. it
It's
was
interesting when you see this.
It is. And you see sheet metal permits, in 2020, 15, 16 grand down to 21. I mean, those are some big swings.
Because that's you covering in your report the fire at the.
What would you like to know about it?
Why aren't we shutting them down?
We actually took them.
I know we're taking the land court, but
Yeah, it's a legal process right now that's still pending, but we did send all the information to Attorney Flessel. She asked us some things, but as you know, it was not found in our favor the first round, so we'll continue to fight the fight on that. But
was
yeah,
the
as you
fire
know, you
considered
did-
arson or mechanical failures?
They just think it was, just the combustion of I talked to the chief this morning, I think it was just the combustion of the compost or the.
Because the pictures look like it was the
Conveyor
conveyor
belt.
belt.
It was the conveyor belt. But the conveyor belt had mulch on
On
it,
it.
and the chief said that's what combusted, which is hard to imagine. I could see the internal combustion of the great big pile, but I don't understand
That's
how.
not unless it started, because that conveyor belt was sitting right there on top of
Right
the
on top
mulch
of it,
pile.
yeah.
So it could have combusted in here and just followed its way down. Because I drove by in the morning and I saw it on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the pictures. I was going to get walk around, but I'm not getting involved. I'm
Yeah.
just driving away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, anything else on a new business?
Would a mulch pile really combust if it was soaking wet from all the
Absolutely
rain we had
does,
last
yeah.
week?
It's the heat in the
Night
center, that's
before?
when oxygen gets
Yeah.
to it.
That's why they
Becomes a problem.
constantly have to be turning them. I bring
And they
back
hose
the-
them down
We
too.
used to have one on Route 140 where it was almost monthly, and the board finally said enough, and that was, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago with the apartment complex was going up, but it was just continuous because they weren't working the piles. It gets very hot in there.
remember the gentleman years ago that fell into it.
Yeah.
And almost lost him, they saved his life. Well, probably 2 previous summers ago. That was rough.
All right, Dennis, town administrators report.
Just a couple of things kind of tying together with the COVID numbers. We're back to weekly meetings. If you'd like to join us 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, a lot of good information coming out of those meetings. But our numbers continue to rise. Contacted by the county today, I mentioned it earlier, they are going to be providing free tests for us. There's a lot of fanfare with the state putting out $2 million in tests to the hardest hit communities, and Bellingham wasn't one. Actually, it was more tied to more tied to per capita income. Poor communities like Cambridge and Brookline got the test. Being facetious, but that is true. Brookline and Cambridge got them. Waltham, some of the communities that got them, I just don't understand.
Right.
And you see the people that they were giving them to today, they certainly didn't look like born deprived people that were there getting these. But in any event, we were contacted. Our positivity rate now is over 10%. Fortunately, as is reported in the meetings on Tuesdays, many of the illnesses are very mild, as the breakthrough cases haven't been as significant. Unfortunately, a lot of the breakthrough cases are just the sniffles from what we're hearing from Mr. Morano. Said a lot of the children are having it. It's just like a common cold. So you don't think it's COVID, which is, so you don't test and your child goes out and exposes other children. And that's a problem, which is great that if we do get these tests, we'll be able to pass them out in the schools and to people that maybe feel there's some illness at their home, because they're tests that you take home. Those are the ones that are being passed out at the state level. And as I say, we're contacted by the county today. It looks like we are going to be getting, again, the first community in the county. Unfortunately, it's because we have the highest positivity rate. So good news and bad news, I guess, with that.
I think there's a danger to doing some testing at home versus from a student standpoint, because parents may not want to disclose it when they find out. I'll give an example. If someone has COVID and we've had 15 or 20 athletes, that you're out for 10 days, but the heart issues that have to be monitored on a student athlete is another 8 days or up to 8 days. And we've had kids whose heart rates have been off the chart in that category. Because although they feel great, their heart is just racing to 180 to 210 beats a minute under physical stress.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And these children feel okay, or they just
Feel good, but their heart races. Our trainer has to put a heart rate monitor on it, and you watch it on their phone, and they start walking around, and their heart starts jumping.
Down that basketball court, you can get it up pretty
Oh,
fast,
that's-
and then it can
that's
blow
limiting,
right out.
yeah.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yes.
Yeah, we do have some clinics scheduled as well that are on the website. We've got a school age clinic at the schools. They're on Saturday. We didn't do them when schools were open. They're on Saturdays. And we also have one at the senior center that's open to the public, and you can go on, and they're all by appointment. You better go on and make an appointment. So those are clinics that are right here in town. Hopefully if it's successful, we'll try and get some more. Because people are having a little difficulty getting appointments. It's not so much difficulty, it's 2 to 3 weeks out, I think. For the most part.
Actually found a bunch at our Walmart here for right after Christmas, the week after Christmas. So there
About
was
a
some
week
that
out, yeah.
came out.
Saturday morning, I got up early to go out and do some things. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I know there was something seriously wrong, because it was on 140 going towards 495. You know that urgent care that's over there in Franklin? The line was out the door, down and wrapped around the building. I was blown away, and it was really cold Saturday morning. And I did my errands. 2 hours later, came back, and the line was a little shorter.
You want to know one of the reasons for that? Our big urgent care that everyone goes to in South Bellingham is not open on the weekends anymore due to staffing issues. And they close at 4 o'clock
Yeah,
during
they
the week.
close their, like,
So they used
That
to
could-
handle the bulk of our stuff, and now people can't get the PCR testing. So most doctors, especially pediatricians, are sending everyone to right where you said, because they're open all the time. Yeah, they're one of the only places around that's open all the
I
time
was
for
really
urgent
shocked.
care and testing.
Like, I called my wife, this is nuts, and this is really gonna get bad here. I tell you, it's gonna blow up in mid-January with with all the holidays, with Christmas and New Year's. And it's gonna be really nuts in January.
It's gonna blow up Thursday when all the positives from the schools finally hit me then. I'm waiting. I think Thursday you're gonna see the biggest jump we've seen in a long time.
We should tell multiple teams. We have 20 athletes and canceling games. All
Other than JV basketball, what else is shut down?
on 17.
Okay, sorry. Well, everyone knows JV basketball, so I just said that.
Anything else, Dennis?
He's got another boss he's gotta tell first, I think.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Yeah, he doesn't wanna hear about it on TV.
Exactly.
That's all that I had.
All right, anybody have anything else?
Just want to say to the folks that are listening in,
Then,
be safe, wear your mask. I mean, we used to say this all the time, wash your hands, wear your mask. Even if you're going into Whole Foods and Market Basket, you might feel you're invincible, please wear a mask. Just, please wear it. I know you love having it on, but even I went into Michael's with my wife this afternoon, it wasn't busy near all, and I wore a mask.
Are you a crafter?
No, my wife is doing some crafting. I went there to push the carriage for her. As much as I love Michael, let me tell you.
All right.
Did you
Well,
see Dawn with the glue
Motion
on
to
and
adjourn.
some green ribbon?
We'll be
entertain a
closed.
motion to adjourn.
We'll be
So
closed
moved, second.
Thursday and Friday this week and next week.
Okay,
Closed, so the
great.
public will be open. Some employees will be a half day on Thursday if they choose to.
Well,
We will
happy
be closed
holidays.
to the
Well, I
public
thought we were closed to
Thursday
the
and
public.
Friday. We are closed to the public
Oh.
Thursday and Friday, but it said some employees may choose to.
Yeah.
Come in and work.
I'll
Like
be
you,
here.
I'm
I'll be
sure
here.
you're gonna-
I'll be here.
Mary, did you have something you wanted to add?
That was it.
All right, happy holidays, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, thank you.